Hi, I'm Grace, and I'm 16. Sometimes I feel like I was born into the wrong family. Not because they're bad or anything, it's just we're like from different planets. Especially me and my little sister Zoe, who's a year younger. I've always been calm and serious. I like things to be neat and in order. But Zoe's the opposite. Fun, loud, living life like it's one big party. My sister's a lot like our parents. They were constantly on the go, always up to something, but they didn't really settle anywhere. Sometimes they'd do odd jobs, and other times they'd just hang around the house, dreaming up plans they never follow through on. For years, Grandpa was the one paying the bills. Strict and no nonsense, but wealthy. He didn't exactly approve of my parents' lifestyle, but he kept supporting them anyway.
You're my family, and I won't let you end up on the streets.
Sometimes my parents would joke,
Grace is just like Grandpa, so smart, and Zoe's just like us, the life of the party.
They really adored her. They'd dye their hair, bake cupcakes at 2 a.m. Meanwhile, I always felt kind of like the odd one out. I was the convenient one. No one had to entertain me. I just managed on my own. Everything started to change when I turned 16. One time, my parents left town and handed me a bunch of business letters and family tax papers. Yeah, to me. I began sorting through everything, mostly because I hate mess. That's when I spotted a mistake. If no one had caught it, we could have had serious trouble with the bank. So I fixed it and I sent it in. When my parents got back, they were totally shocked. You saved us!
That's our girl, all grown up.
After that, my parents started treating me more like an equal, not like a kid, but like an adult. They asked for advice, talked to me more, and actually showed interest in my day. It felt a bit weird, but nice. Zoe didn't like it one bit. At first, she was quietly irritated, giving me attitude every time I showed up. But then the sarcasm and eye rolls started. I tried to ignore it, but she didn't stop. One day, I overheard Zoe chatting with Ryan. He was in my class. He would constantly put his feet on the desks, throw paper around, and yell down the whole hallway. Basically everything I couldn't stand. And then Ryan suddenly started joking about me.
Grace, wanna check my taxes?
The whole school just burst out laughing. Yeah, real funny. At first I didn't even get why he was paying attention to me.
And then I overheard Zoe whispering something to him and giggling.
She talked him into doing that. Zoe didn't like that I was getting attention now, so my sister decided to turn it into a school show. I just lost it this time. Maybe for once you could stop pretending to be so cool.
Maybe for once you could stop acting like you're so smart.
Is it my fault I don't put on a show or run down the hall tossing snacks around? Things just keep getting worse. After the whole tax situation, my parents decided to dump all the chores on me.
Grace, check what's going on with our accounts.
Grace, book our tickets. We're running late. But when you're in charge of everything every day and no one even notices how tired you get, eventually you just break down. That's exactly what happened. During an algebra test, I was just sitting there, staring at the paper, and it felt like my brain completely shut down. My heart was pounding, my hands were shaking, and I could barely breathe. Inside, I was in total panic. The teacher was saying something, then suddenly ran over. The next thing I remember is the nurse's office and my parents. Breathe, it's okay, we're right here. The doctor said it was a panic attack, like an overload, you know? Everything just piled up, stress, pressure, all the expectations and responsibility. Well, no wonder. I was tired of having to act like an adult. I was just 16, and yet I felt like a single mom. We were driving home, and when we got there, we saw the door was slightly open. My mom rushed inside first, and then she screamed. I rushed over too, and I saw Zoe. She was lying on the floor under the attic ladder. She didn't move at all. She missed school today because of a slight cough. It seemed that when she was alone, she climbed up to the attic, slipped, and fell. The ambulance got there fast, but at the hospital, they told us my sister was in a coma, and from that moment on, everything turned completely upside down. Zoe was in intensive care, and my parents just seemed to disappear from the world. I mean, they were physically present, but they spent all their time at the hospital. I was left all alone. And you know what was the worst part? Not even the loneliness. It was that my parents acted like I didn't even exist. We have to think about Zoe. School's gotten even worse. The rumors spread like wildfire. I was just walking down the hallway and everyone literally stepped aside and started whispering. If it wasn't for her panic attack, her parents would have been home. She distracted them, and that left her sister all alone. I couldn't believe everyone was actually blaming me, as if I wanted things to turn out that way, like I was the one who pushed Zoe down the stairs. I felt out of place everywhere. At home, my parents barely noticed me. At school, everyone kept their distance. Inside, all I felt was guilt. Then one day, I decided to call my grandpa.
Grace, it's not your fault. It was just an accident.
Even though I knew he was right, I just couldn't accept it. So I figured I had to do something. I spent all my free time either at the hospital or taking care of things at home. I did everything I could so my parents wouldn't have to worry and could stay with Zoe. But it turned out no one really needed me. Grace, quit getting in the way! A few classmates at school started cracking stupid jokes at me.
Oh look, it's the hospital hero again.
Using your sister's coma to get some spotlight?
I just grit my teeth and keep walking.
And I kept expecting Ryan to start bothering me too, but he stayed quiet. He wouldn't even look at me when we ended up near each other. I tried to hold it together, but honestly, I was about to give up. School was hell. At home, it was all about Zoe. It felt like I didn't matter to anyone. One time, I caught myself going through Zoe's phone. I'm not really sure why I picked it up. Maybe I just wanted to feel close to her. I opened the gallery app. There were a bunch of silly selfies, but when I scrolled to the day of the accident, I felt like I turned to stone. There she was, in the attic. The time said it was taken like 10 minutes before the fall. At the bottom of the frame, near the ladder, a blurry figure. You can just make out a bracelet on their wrist. I froze. That meant Zoe wasn't alone. She didn't just fall. Someone was there. Someone was standing by the ladder. I showed the photo to my parents. Who was that?
We need to find out.
That was the moment they finally looked at me like someone they could trust. I'll get to the bottom of this. And that's how my little investigation kicked off. Across the street lived Mrs. Hanley, a total gossip, but she had security cameras. I told her I was looking for footage from that day. I watched it all, hour after hour, and then I saw someone leaving our house. They had a hood on. I couldn't see their face. Then I went around the whole school, just asking everyone who wore those bracelets. Most of them laughed at me.
Oh, so Grace is going full Stranger Things now?
But then this one girl from our class suddenly said, Ryan had a bracelet just like that. I froze. Ryan? That's when I knew I had to talk to him. Were you at our place the day it happened?
I don't have to tell you anything.
So you were there. You ran off when Zoe fell? He stayed silent, his eyes darting around the room. Then Ryan just got up and walked away. My heart was pounding. He was there. I had to tell my parents. But the moment I opened my mouth, I got cut off. She's awake! What?
Zoe, she woke up. Just got a call from the hospital.
Zoe, she was awake? We burst out of the house like someone was after us. Forget the truth. Forget Ryan. Zoe was awake. Everything else didn't matter. We rushed into the room, and she was actually awake, pale, weak, but her eyes were open. She smiled. Mom immediately burst into tears, and Dad kissed her hands. Zoe, do you remember what happened? Who was with you in the attic? She squeezed her eyes shut. I don't know. My head's killing me. Everything feels foggy. I wanted to ask more, but then Dad butted in.
Grace, enough with the questions. She just woke up. Take it easy on her.
But this is important. Later, not now. The doctor who came in for the rounds just shrugged.
It happens. Memory loss after head injury is pretty common. She just needs some time.
Zoe was quickly getting better. A couple of weeks later, she was discharged and everything seemed to go back to normal. But not for me. The whole world started spinning around my sister again. What would you like for lunch, Zoe dear?
How are you feeling, sweetheart?
It's like I stopped existing. Again. One time I caught Mom whispering to someone on the phone. Poor Zoe. After her fall, she even lost her memory. It's all because of Grace. She distracted us with her panic attack. I got blamed again, but I didn't cry. I was all out of tears. School wasn't much help either. In English class, we got assigned partners for a project.
And guess who I got paired with?
Ryan. Just my luck. During the first study sessions, he didn't say a word, just stared at his phone like he didn't care at all. I overheard some guy say,
Dude, your dad's out of it again? Is your grandma gonna come pick you up?
And then it hit me. Ryan was alone too. He just hid it behind jokes and that don't care attitude. We worked on the project at his grandma's place, where he lived most of the time. It's pretty loud in here.
Yeah, grandma's a bit hard of hearing. She keeps the TV volume way too high.
We were working on the presentation plan. Suddenly, he spoke up.
Listen, I really didn't want anything to happen to Zoe. I got scared, didn't know what to do, so I just ran away.
For the first time, I saw him not as a class clown, but just a person. A scared one. Flawed.
We just wanted her to, fall or something. Not badly, just a little. Maybe get a bruise or two, then her parents would start paying attention to her again.
What?
It was all her idea. She said she'd been feeling invisible lately, that her parents only ever talked to you, and Zoe just wanted to remind them that she existed.
What happened?
She slipped hit her head pretty hard. I panicked and ran.
I just stared at him, speechless. Zoe did that on purpose? All this time, I was beating myself up over what happened, thinking it was my fault. That evening, I told my parents everything. That Zoe had planned it all, that she fell on purpose, that Ryan was with her. But they didn't believe a word I said.
Grace, don't tell me you're blaming this on your sister now.
This is ridiculous! She's been through enough already, and now you're making up stories to avoid taking the blame? I'm not lying.
Enough! We're done listening to your theories.
Maybe you should ask yourself what made Zoe lose her memory, and who's really responsible for that. They didn't believe me, again, and still, I felt guilty, even though I knew I was right. But then, something strange started happening. Zoe acted all dazed and confused, like she didn't remember a thing, but I heard her quietly singing a song. What a wonderful world. What was that? What? Zoe acted like nothing happened, but I remembered. That song was playing that morning, the day it all went down. There's no way Zoe could have remembered it if she really had amnesia, but it only got stranger. My sister was texting someone and suddenly muttered, Katie said there's a party at the mall on Friday. Who's Katie? You know, Katie, my friend. But you said you don't remember anything, not even who you were friends with. Well, it just came to me, I guess. That's when it all clicked for me. She was lying, and she was doing it just to get everyone to feel sorry for her, to be the center of attention again. I thought it over for quite some time. Should I tell my parents? Nope, they'd never believe me. But if Zoe slipped up and said something herself, that would be a different story. That's how the plan came together. I called Ryan and explained everything. I told him I needed help. We put on a little show. He was sitting with Zoe in the living room, just chatting casually. Meanwhile, I was standing around the corner.
Sorry, I already told Grace everything about what happened in the attic.
Zoe turned ghostly white. You could tell everything inside her just clenched up. You did what?
So what? She already knows anyway.
You promised. Promised to keep it a secret? And how you made it all up? I just wanted to be noticed again. Nobody paid attention to me. It was always about you. Grace the smart one. Grace the responsible one. Grace, Grace, Grace. And no, I don't have amnesia. I turned to my parents. They were standing right there and heard everything. I hoped Mom and Dad would finally understand, that they'd believe me, that they'd finally say they were sorry for not listening. But it didn't happen that way. Oh my goodness, sweetheart. You've been through so much.
The important thing is you're with us now. It's okay. We're here for you.
They hugged her, patted her head. It was as if they didn't hear a confession of a lie, but a scream for help. Nobody even looked at me, like I wasn't even there. And that's when I realized that was it. Enough. I was not to blame. I was not a bad sister. I was done being pushed aside. The next day, I packed my things. Where are you going? To Grandpa's. At least for now. Maybe for a while.
Grace, don't be stupid.
I'm not being stupid. I just can't stay where no one listens to me. Grandpa met me like usual, holding a fresh bun and quietly saying, "About time." He didn't press me for details.
You're always welcomed here.
And for the first time in ages, I actually felt at peace. Ryan comes by sometimes. We hang out, talk, laugh. He turned out to be totally different. He doesn't pretend like he doesn't care about anything anymore. Sometimes I wonder, maybe things could still change. Maybe my parents will understand. Maybe Zoe will say sorry one day. Or maybe not. And that's okay too, because I'm done fighting for attention. I'm done trying to be right or convenient. I just want to be myself. Sometimes you can do everything right. Be perfect, loyal, strong, and still feel like an outsider to someone. But that doesn't mean you should stop being yourself. What matters most is finding those who truly see you. What do you think? Any chance I'll ever fix my relationship with my parents? Or they just don't need me anymore?